Howdy, howdy, and welcome back to another Workshop Wednesday. This week it is a Getting Started edition. We're going to talk today about Google BigQuery, and of course, a little introduction as long as, and a little conversation about is it even now the time that you got to start using this thing? Before we go too far into this, welcome. My name is Chris Mercer. Everybody calls me Mercer. You should as well. I am the co-founder of a company called measurementmarketing.io, and whether you found us through many of the podcasts and talks out there giving, maybe through some of the content we've shared with other platforms, such as CX Institute or Social Media Examiner, maybe you are already a member over at measurementmarketing.io. However you found us, we are happy that you're here. It's our job to help you figure out how to use these tools, and that means staying up to date on some of the new tools like BigQuery. Now, of course, we have the Measurement Marketing Academy. That is our flagship just-in-time learning platform to go through three things, all things digital measurement, so you can learn how to actually add measurement as a culture to your organization. But we'll talk more about that at the end of today's content. For this particular lesson, as we always do, just focus on one new thing. That is one new concept, one new idea. In this case, just having a rough idea of what BigQuery is, if you don't need it now, maybe when you might need it in the future. Something like that is what I would go for in this particular instance. All right, let's go ahead and get this party started. Getting started. What is Google BigQuery, and do you need it now? All right, we're going to go ahead and jump right in. Now, we're going to start very quickly with the framework, as we always do. Remember, we plan, we build, we launch. We're all marketing in the blind when we start this, and our goal is to be able to build revenue and profits. But that's something we want to produce as a symptom of using a system. That's what makes it easy to actually produce revenue and profits. So how do we do that? Well, we plan, we build, we launch. We plan by asking the right questions, gathering the information to get the answers to those questions, and knowing what actions we're going to take based upon the answers we get. Then we move into the build where we figure out what results we're trying to measure for, what traffic is coming in, and how it's connecting the dots. Now, how does BigQuery play into this? It plays into the story mode quite a bit. Plays in a little bit in the results mode. You want to make sure that this platform, and you'll see some general examples here, but just the idea is what this platform can do is to help you combine different data sources. So you're not just relying on Google Analytics, but you can combine it with other data sources, etc., to get a better story. Now, why do we need that? So when we listen to the conversation that's happening between the users and the website, it's a little bit more of a robust conversation that we're now able to listen to because it's got maybe information from the CRM coming in, combined with Google Analytics, maybe combined with some spreadsheet data you have from some other source. That's kind of what BigQuery is really good at. Not to mention with GA4, and I'm sure our guest instructor JJ will be talking about this in a few minutes, with GA4, you are not going to have the option of keeping years and years and years of data in your Google Analytics 4. It's just kind of a temporary measurement platform nowadays. So you got to make sure if you want permanent data, BigQuery is probably going to be what you're going to need. And so you can listen and compare year over year and things like that. Now, of course, once you've got that conversation, it's all about forecasting, making sure that we are forecasting based upon our recent past. And then finally, we measure against our forecast. That's how we know where to optimize. That is where we focus our resources so we can produce the growth in revenue and profits that we are looking for. So that is the measurement marketing framework in a nutshell. Now, as I previously mentioned, we do have a guest instructor for today, and that is none other than JJ Reynolds. He's the founder of Media Authentic and Data Studio VIP, which is one of his newest sites. He's been helping clients for many, many years. He's a certified measurement marketer and took our certification, I want to say it was 2 years ago, give or take. I think that was right, JJ. Just an incredible guy. We've worked with him. I've sent him, numerous clients. He's done incredible work. And he is the guy when it comes to going out there and taking things to the next level, specifically with BigQuery. We've seen he does a lot of cool stuff. He, in fact, is going to be teaching when Google BigQuery Basics coming up later this month, as a matter of fact, for the Measurement Marketing Academy. So just an all-around awesome guy that clearly is the one you want to be able to show you this stuff. So without further ado, JJ Reynolds, I'm going to let you go ahead and take it away.
Thank you so much for that glowing introduction. All right, guys, we're just going to hop right in to do you need Google BigQuery. So we're going to keep this super high level. We're going to try to take it at the 20,000 foot view. All right, so this is not going to be talking about queries or SQL or pipelining to get your information in there. We're going to be talking high. If you want to dive into it, feel free to strap yourself to a parachute and hop on into it yourself. but this is going to be talking very high level as far as if you even need it. Very strategic, very hopefully thought provoking. So, in order to actually know what we're talking about, we have to answer the question of what is BigQuery. So if you head over to cloud.google.com/BigQuery, you will find a suite of lovely tools, one of which is BigQuery. It looks like this, sort of just a bunch of information as far as information, benefits. I think the page is like something like 20,000 pixels high, so you can really spend some time in Google's documentation as far as going to a console, setting up your account, contacting sales, all those different pieces. But first, we want to think about it, right? We want to zoom out and be like, what do I even need this shiny object? Because at the end of the day, there's a bajillion tools out there. We want to make sure that we zoom out and say, do I actually need this? Or is this something that is just going to suck my time and I could be spending it on something a little bit more valuable? So Google BigQuery is basically Google Sheets on steroids, and that's what it is. Google Sheets used to have a limit of 5 million cells. I believe they just announced an update to 10 million cells. So, hey, just doubled the capacity. BigQuery, I don't believe, even has a limit, right? So, just speaking from my own personal experience, I currently have a table that runs a query every single day that is approaching, I think, 250 million rows, not even cells, right? We're not even talking about cells, we're just talking about rows. 250 million, so 250 million rows. And I believe each individual row has something like 30 columns. So we're upwards of 1 billion cells. So not a problem to have a lot of data. Problem is managing all of that data. So needless to say, it is just a giant table, right? So just think of if you can't do it in Google Sheets, right? So if you can't do it in Google Sheets because you're running out of space, BigQuery might be a very valid option. We're going to hop into those criteria in a hot sec. So just wanted to get that out there. We're not talking about anything fancy. It's not like we're reinventing a mattress or something else. It is just something for you to utilize, a tool very similar to Google Sheets. Giant table. So what do you need to know about what BigQuery has to offer you? So the first thing, and probably the most daunting for most marketers, is you have to use SQL code, right? You have to know the basics. It's by far the easiest of coding languages. I do not by any means consider myself a coder, but you can kind of get through it, right? There's a lot of copy and paste. There's a lot of information on the internet as far as SQL in general. BigQuery is just one place that you can do that. So not a huge as far as like problem to solve, just something you have to know, very similar to Tag Manager or Google Analytics. There are things you need to just know how to do. It does cost money, right? So it does cost money. It costs pennies, like literal pennies. So that's the caveat here. You will be asked to, like, whenever you set up your account, to put in a credit card. It's not like Google Analytics where you're like, hey, it's free or whatever that their messaging is. This is literal pennies though. Like I think that one table we've got is something like $1 a month it costs to maintain and query and everything else. So very, very, very cheap. Most people are going to be under $5 a month, just from my experience, unless you're doing something really complicated, which if you're watching this, probably aren't going to be doing. Getting information into BigQuery is actually half of the strategy. So BigQuery doesn't collect information, right? It just stores it. So you have to figure out how do you want to get that information into BigQuery, because that is the main problem that at least we've encountered over at Media Authentic, where you either have to pay for a connector, which is probably the most expensive piece of this, or you need to write some Python, which is the developer side of things, right? I'm talking big words, but basically getting information into it, half of the strategy, actually 80%. And it's also going to be most of the cost, right? So that is the thing that is like, for example, we've got that one that has 250 million rows. I think it costs us like $120 a month just to get the information in there. And then at the end of the day, it's like $1 to actually store it there. So that's kind of just, again, benchmarks, just trying to give you some idea of like where your costs are going to go, because that is, again, one thing to consider, right? Costs beyond time. So the next thing you need to really think about is your marketing strategy. That is going to be 1,000 times more important than your SQL knowledge, right? Because at the end of the day, you can hire someone on Upwork, you can find a developer that knows SQL, and SQL is like a super easy language for developers. So that's something to note. Is like it's a very very simple thing for most developers to do, but the strategy of what you're trying to ask and what you're trying to answer is, again, like the 80-20 rule could not be more accurate here. 80% of your energies is going to be focused on the strategy of asking really, really, really good questions. Once you have those questions in place, you can probably find a developer to get you the answers fairly quickly. Once you know how to get the information in there, all those pieces, right? Again, we're keeping it high level. Just wanted to give you some things to think about. So, why in the world would I use this? Because hey, I don't use it currently. Do I actually need it? So here are my 5 benefits that I would suggest you just think about, right? Just ideas to consider, right? First one is unlimited data. If you are ever running into a problem with Google Sheets, that's pretty much the biggest equivalent, right? If you run into problems with Google Sheets being either slow or limiting in capacity, probably want to consider looking at BigQuery. You can even upload your Google Sheet to BigQuery as an option because they're both Google products. They usually try to sync pretty well. So that is an option that you have there. The next thing is speedy reporting. So just for reference, Google Analytics to Data Studio, right? Reporting on what you're actually trying to accomplish, right? In Data Studio, your queries, like your report might take, I don't know, 5 to 10 seconds to load, depending on how many big or how many charts, reports, etc., and how much data you're actually looking at. With BigQuery, you can have hundreds of millions of cells, and a report will load in 3 seconds, 2 seconds. If you really want to get optimization, I think you probably could go down to 1 second. Again, you can load a massive amount of data with hyper complex like functions and everything else that you either cache or you partition or use all these other fancy dancy words. You can shard things. I know there's lots of jargon, but basically you can get reports really, really fast as long as you focus, again, on that strategy first, right? The next thing is advanced queries and joins. Let's just say, for example, you've got Google Sheets with all of your information in it, and you cannot seem to figure out how to join multiple things together. So you have your CRM data, you have your transaction data, and you have your sales teams data. And you want to create one master report that says, hey, from the CRM, I want to know the people that are most engaged. I want to know of those most engaged people, how long it takes for them to have their first transaction, and then how long it takes from that first transaction to hop on a sales call. Well, now we're looking at 3 separate data sources that you cannot join very easily in Google Sheets, right? You could probably do some VLOOKUPs to get up through like a VLOOKUP of one thing to another thing to another thing to do like a triple VLOOKUP. Might be able to do it, but inside of BigQuery, you can do a join. They support all the different joins, so you can do really, really advanced queries to get information into one big table that you can then query from Data Studio, or you can just connect Data Studio to a flat table and you are up and running, right? So that's one option. So if you have those really advanced questions that you need multiple data sources, could be an option. Although Data Studio did just release a new blending function feature where you're able to actually look at different methods of sorting your joins, whether it's left join, outer join, inner join, all those things. So you can actually do some of this inside of Data Studio specifically, but again, much more control and advanced reporting. All right, the next big thing is you can have unlimited data sources, right? So, for example, you could bring in information from any location that you could possibly think of. So, for example, say you have a CRM that's completely custom, or you have a completely custom sales process, or you have an application that you're trying to monitor the upsells within an app, but you're only storing that on a SQL on a MySQL server, right? All of those options you could then write to BigQuery. So then you could be able to query that within Data Studio to kind of change the marketing language from developer to marketing, and then take actions from a marketing standpoint as opposed to from a developer standpoint, right? So that's another big option. Last here is you own 100% of the data, right? So, for example, say you wanted to export all of your Facebook ads out of Facebook, all that information into BigQuery. Well, if Facebook decides to deactivate your account, you already have a record of everything that has happened, whatever you stored there. So, one option, again, just an idea, is you own 100% of the data. Same thing for your CRM or anything else. You could also export to a Google Sheet, but again, if you have more than 10 million rows or cells, you're have a problem. The next option is you have clean the data, so you can get really, really clean information. So, for example, in BigQuery, you could then clean every single deduplication. You could do cleaning up as far as lowercasing things. All of that information you can do with inside of BigQuery, and then you're able to create a clean table that you then connect your reporting tool like Data Studio to, right? So that is another huge benefit there. So that's my 6 benefits. I hope that makes some sense as far as why you would use it. And my huge caveat here is you can do 90% of this stuff inside of Google Sheets, right? There's only a few things that you cannot do. Again, the speed and the size are the two main components. But I just wanted to keep in mind that if you are not fully utilizing Google Sheets, that is an option for you. So the signs that you should use BigQuery are as follows, right? If you're like, I still don't know, here are some signs that JJ's signs of using BigQuery. So Google Sheets just won't cut it, right? It's either slow or it's just not enough capacity as far as querying. You can use the query function in Google Sheets, but again, you just run out of abilities inside of Google Sheets. Next thing, speed is a problem. If speed is slowing you down, well, BigQuery will solve that problem. They even have a caching function where it's like a few dollars per gigabyte of information. And if you know about Google Sheets, gigabytes don't come across the table too often. So 1 gig usually gets you most of the way there. You are running into advanced math problems. So basically, like your problem is running into some really advanced things where you're like, I don't know if I should do this. My favorite one is you just have too much time on your hands and you're like, I just need someone else to occupy my time. BigQuery will just suck the time out of you like a mosquito on a hot summer day in Louisiana or wherever there's lots of mosquitoes. So that is basically the 4 reasons I think you should start using BigQuery. If you're over here like, what are you talking about, JJ? You're like, what in the world is happening? Don't worry, got some real life use cases here just so that we can all get on the same page, right? So here's something that, again, just looking at like our BigQuery account, just to make sure that I was like, hey, let's grab some real world examples, real world use cases, because otherwise it's just all theory. I could be talking out of my booty. So store Google Analytics data to report on 20 million hits per month. So basically, we've got a client. They have 20 million hits a month inside of their Google Analytics account, Universal Analytics account, and you can report on this in seconds. So what we're doing is we are using an application called DataDo to get that information inside of BigQuery. Then we are querying that information, creating a nice, beautiful table, and then reporting on that within Data Studio. Real life use case, reports load in less than 3 seconds. So no matter how many people are looking at it at the same exact time. Alrighty, next we have a stick and churn report for recurring business from an application. So what we're doing is we have a software application that one of our clients is using, and they have their application rebills, and then they have their marketing acquisition reports. So what we're able to do within BigQuery is to create a master table that tells us how much revenue is supposed to be billed tomorrow. And then once tomorrow happens, how many was actually billed, and then what was the original source of those rebills? Like, was it from a sale? Was it from Facebook ads? Was it from all those different types of beautiful data visualizations that we can do? Third, active campaign advanced CRM questions. So a lot of CRMs have limitations, but within BigQuery, you can actually create a new report that gives you your custom questions to be answered. So that's another option. Multi-account Facebook ads reporting. We work with a large conglomerate that works around the world. And so what we can actually do is we can create a master database of every Facebook ad that is run from every single account. And I'm talking like dozens of accounts of Facebook ads in one BigQuery account. So then you can have one master report for every single conglomerate and like franchise of that business. Pretty sweet use case there. And then lastly, we got time to purchase from cart and CRM. So basically, we've got a cart system and a CRM, and we're able to say, hey, how long does it take from a lead generation in their CRM to become a purchase from the cart? Again, two separate platforms. They don't have connections into BigQuery or into Data Studio by themselves. So what we're able to do is write a Python script and actually collect all that information inside of BigQuery. So another use case for you right there. So at the end of the day, you're probably wondering like, JJ, how much is this going to cost me? Well, I've never paid more than $5 a month for queries and storage for all the different things that you're talking about right here. It is extremely cheap once you figure out what you're doing, and it is extremely economical. Most expensive part is getting information into BigQuery, because sometimes that's, for example, DataDo, which is my favorite connector. It charges, I believe, $35 a month per data source. If you wanted to write your own Python scripts, I believe it's $1 a day for a scheduled query. So again, you're going to hit about $30 a month per data source in my personal experience. So that is what we're looking at. Again, $5 a month, great for once you have it in there. And just to really reemphasize, $5 a month. So that is basically it for this overview. I hope at least give you some thought-provoking things to think about. If you want to check it out, go to cloud.google.com/BigQuery. My name is JJ Reynolds. You can email me hello@MediaAuthentic.com. If you have any questions at all, I hope this was helpful, and have a great rest of your day enjoying BigQuery and all of its excitements. All right, back to you.
All right. Well, thank you so much for that, JJ. That was excellent. We put JJ's information here. He's also in the Academy. So he's in the winner circle. For those of you that are part of the Academy, he is one of our instructors back there in the Ask Instructor support system. Obviously, as JJ mentioned, Media Authentic, also Data Studio VIP, kind of his newer site. And then, his email. So hello@Media Authentic. If anybody has any questions at all on this sort of stuff. And just a reminder, JJ Reynolds is the instructor behind Google BigQuery, also a part of the Measurement Marketing Academy, released in April 2022, at least the initial one. So what was your one thing? I know for me, going through and thinking about the framework, and I'm a big fan of growing out of your existing tools before you add new tools, because there's a million new tools. There's new ones every day, it feels like. So those of you who have AppSumo subscriptions know exactly what I'm talking about. There's always a new company that's doing some other crazy cool thing. And it's too confusing to try to keep up with all of them. But with BigQuery, when I am going through and I cannot get answers to the questions I'm asking anymore, I do need to improve my implementation. That's the whole concept behind the framework, is that it constantly improves itself. So there will be a time, and we're not there yet as a company. For this, I'm speaking now from a measurementmarketing.io company perspective. We are not there as a company. We can get all the answers we need with Google Analytics, Google Tag Manager, Google Data Studio. That's worked so far. There will be a time where we'll start asking questions, maybe like JJ mentioned, the ones over time. We have things like that if we cannot get them a certain way, we're going to pull them into BigQuery. There probably is going to be a time where we're going to ask about, what happened at a certain point in time and Google Analytics won't have it because it's not designed to capture long-term data. So we'll probably implement BigQuery for maybe something like that. But we're going to grow into that tool. We're not just going to learn it for the sake of it. We're going to learn it because now is the time for us to actually start to put it into play, and we got to get used to it, right? That's sort of the main idea behind all of this stuff. So hopefully it is for you. Now, speaking of learning it, guess who's coming back next week? That's right, JJ Reynolds himself will be back. We're doing a Beyond Basics workshop next week, and that's going to be on how to start using Google BigQuery. And the reason that we did a Beyond Basics workshop for kind of how to start with a tool is because BigQuery already, if you're using BigQuery, you are already in Beyond Basics territory. You're not going to use it if you're just getting started. Those of you who are familiar with the measurement marketing framework, you know, we talk about the cave and the valley and the summit. It's more of a summit style tool. So really advanced. Lots of resources, as JJ mentioned. It's not for the faint of heart. It is something that is incredibly useful, but does require resources. Fortunately, not a lot of money, but does require resources in times of planning, effort, and thought. But he will show you how to actually get started using BigQuery in next week's workshop. So if you want that, all you need to do is subscribe and just click the little, I think it's the bell icon, right, for notification on YouTube. Thank you all again for all of you who are leaving topic ideas in the comments. Let us know where we did really well, what topics you didn't like as much, which one you want to see more of. We read every single comment. We cannot respond to all of them, but I do see them all. I personally see them all. So thank you for that. With that, we'll go ahead and move on. The Measurement Marketing Toolbox is the other way that you can actually get the training as well. So those of you who have not yet taken advantage of that, you get the most recent workshop Wednesdays, and you also get a ton of tools. Now, there is not yet one specific to BigQuery yet, but I could see something like that coming through. Google Tag Manager, though, has got a cookbook back there. There's a traffic tracking toolkit. There's the dashboard planning toolkit. There's a split test optimization pipeline. There's a forecasting tool back. There's so many tools that are back there. So much more than what you see on the screen at the moment. So all free. All you need to do is go to measure.tips/WW, and it will automatically get you set up there. It's just going to request a name and an email, and it'll get you off and to the races. With that, it's that time. Let's talk about the Measurement Marketing Academy. It is, of course, our flagship training program. We built the Academy for one reason only, and that is to help you get through the measurement marketing framework over and over and over again at the various stages. We talk about there, and then you first start out, you're just learning this stuff. And so you can only do so much with measurement. Then you get through the framework, you build a little measurement muscle. Then you're going to come back through the framework again, build it again and again and again and again. And it keeps going like that. The Academy is there to help you to do that every step of the way, every time you go through the framework. A really quick tour of what the framework looks like, or not the framework, but the Academy itself. So when you come in, you will see these 6 core blocks that are here as an Academy member. Of course, we always have the latest updates each week that will come through here with some of the highlights of what's important as an Academy member for you. So you always have that. The main content is the courses, the workshops, and of course, the toolbox. So the courses, they look like this. They're all organized by date because they are updated typically every 4 to 6 weeks. We are doing an update to an existing course or a brand new course. You can see everything that is back here. There's an absolute ton organized by date, because as an Academy member, you don't want to be back here watching courses all day long. But if it's been a month or two and you want to come in and see the latest one that's done, very easy way to do that. Of course, they're organized by topic as well. So you can see all the Google Analytics stuff, including GA4. We've got the Tag Manager stuff, including server side. We've got Data Studio in the dashboarding section, including the Beyond Basics that's here of Data Studio. And of course, what my personal favorite is the strategy stuff. How do you plan? How do you forecast? How do you optimize? The thinking behind this thing called measurement is actually, that's not true. It is more important than actually learning a tool like Google Analytics. Because if you don't know the thinking behind why you even want to use a tool like Google Analytics, what's the point, right? So measurement strategy is also back here as well. So that's the courses. To show you what they look like as an example, here's your measurement plan. When we talk about building out a measurement plan, you come into it, and this is what most of the courses are basically following, same sort of idea. You have the main lesson, and each of these is videos. So you have the different videos for the different topics. Here's the next lesson with their topics. So you can see how much is back here as you go through and learn and practice and grow. And of course, there are ways to get help as you need help, which you will, and we'll talk about that in a moment. So you've got the WIN courses, right? That's their standard courses that most people are looking for. And if you think about how many courses are back there, it's all the analytics, all the Tag Manager, all the different levels of those, Data Studio, strategy, and more. We had all sorts of stuff. We just recently came out with Sheets. We're going to be doing, things like BigQuery and, things like that. So there's always new things that are coming out or being updated just in the Win courses themselves. Next up is the on-demand workshops. On-demand workshops look like this. You always have the most recent Workshop Wednesday back there for you. And you can see those broken down. So they're organized by date. You can get caught up on all the what's new workshops as an Academy member. You can get caught up on all the getting started workshops as an Academy member, the Beyond Basics. These have all been edited down. They obviously don't have things like the Academy tours and stuff like that in there. But it's a really good way to get caught up, and it is entirely searchable. So you can go in here, type in whatever the thing you're looking for. It'll search the entire database of all the on-demand trainings that cover that topic, as well as the different lessons that cover that topic in the Win courses themselves. So you have access to all of that. Again, Win courses and the on-demand workshops, just in terms of the content. 24/7, access whenever you need it. It is there for you. The toolbox is our final bit of content. So the toolbox itself has all of the tools that we have access to. So you can copy these, create these. We create them for our members to make things easier. A lot of these are referenced in the Win courses as well. But the Academy member also gives you access to the Get It Done guide. So things like Eyes on the Journey, which is a pretty popular report that we are very famous for at this point. That kind of shows you deep dive into how the behaviors that are happening on the pages. There's a big little video series on this. It's one of these things where a Get It Done guide is perfect if the topic itself is not big enough for a Win course, but it is bigger than just what one workshop should cover. That's what we do, the Get It Done guide. So it's kind of like a little middle ground. And this system, the reason that we do this with the Win courses, the demand workshops, and the toolbox, including the Get It Done guides, is because somehow when something changes in measurement, which happens all the time, we're able to get you updates fairly quickly. So you can always stay up to date and take advantage before anybody else can, which is kind of why we do this for our members. So those are the main content sections. Now, I mentioned earlier, you're going to need help with this stuff. We definitely need to get help with this stuff because this stuff is complicated, because it's sometimes really useful to talk to people about this stuff. So there's a couple ways you can get help. One is the Winner Circle. So that is kind of the community helping the community, right? Peer-to-peer stuff coming through. So you can see people, the break room sort of mentioning stuff where people are from or whatever. In this case, for social media marketing world and having conversations around that. But they're broken down by different topics. And this is a chance for members to help other members. Sometimes we don't have the skills to answer the questions because it's not our topic of expertise. For example, if somebody asks us something about technical SEO, well, we're not technical SEO experts, but there are definitely members in the Measurement Marketing Academy who are. There are agency owners who are. And so they can help answer those questions. Maybe you're a platform expert when it comes to Google Ads. Maybe you can help somebody answer Google Ads questions, or maybe it's a builder platform or something like that, WooCommerce or whatever, right? So Shopify. And so it's like people can help each other back there, but they're all speaking a unified language, which is measurement marketing. It's one thing everybody has in common. So peers helping peers. It's a super, super cool group and a really good spot to build networks, etc. The other place to get help, and this is, to be honest, what most people use, is the Ask an Instructor support system. So Ask an Instructor support's pretty easy to access. You get into there, you ask your question, pop in your question, the details. What we really, really love are screenshots and videos in this section. So you send us over a link to a video that's kind of a full screen video that walks us through what your issue is, what your question is. It doesn't matter if it's a strategy question or a tactical sort of like, how do I get this goal to work in Tag Manager question? It does not matter. Send us over anything that you want us to take a look at from a measurement perspective. We will be able to get you unstuck and moving forward. That's the idea. And our job as instructors is to help teach you, to build you muscle. So yes, we will sometimes give you an answer, but mostly it's to help you to find the answer and leave you so that you learn these skills as an organization, right, within your own organization. That's what the Ask Instructor support is for. And it's the closest thing to essentially a quote unquote private conversation between your side and our side, right? The instructor team and then your side of things. So that sometimes I realize putting things into the Winner Circle might not be important, something you can do because you don't want to share maybe client data or something, but you can certainly have a behind the scenes conversation with the instructors back here in the Ask Instructor support system. And of course, all of your answers are recorded, so you can have those and mark them as favorites or whatever else. It's a really incredible system, and we built this entire academy again to help you. It's not that you're going to come in here and watch all the videos, because we create content faster than you can watch it, but it is a just-in-time learning platform. So you can come through when you have a question. There will be some way that you can get unstuck and moving forward. Maybe it's a course. Maybe it's a workshop. Maybe it's a Get It Done guide. Maybe it's a Winner Circle question that you can help answer or get an answer to. Or it's Ask Instructor support. And 9 times out of 10, if you send over videos and screenshots, we send over videos and screenshots. So it's an absolute incredible platform to be a part of. Obviously, would encourage you to be a part of that as well. The manage account here, just so you know, is the standard manage account stuff. So if you need to change your email or billing information, that sort of stuff, kind of standard at that point. So the academy itself, to kind of run down the value here, the courses, the Ask Instructor support, the on-demand workshop library, the Winner Circle community, you get access to every single course that's available back there. So we don't limit anything. You get access to everything, including all the updates. The Ask an Instructor support, you get access to that. You can ask as many questions as you want. There is no limit to the amount of questions that you are able to ask back there. So we have people sometimes that are like, I feel bad asking so many questions. Please ask questions. The instructors actually like that more. It's a dirty little secret, but it's true. The instructors love the people who ask more questions because they know that those people are learning. Those students are learning. So please ask questions back there. The on-demand workshop library, again, 24/7 access. There are hundreds and hundreds of workshops that are back there in this database, completely searchable, new ones added at just about every single week. The on-demand workshop library is back there for you. And of course, the Winner Circle community. You get access to essentially what is a private club of measurement marketers and those learning measurement marketing that you have access to. So all told, you have approximately $15,000 in training and support that you get access to as an Academy member. And technically it goes a little bit higher each and every week because we keep adding content to this platform. Again, our job is not to overwhelm, it's to help, to make sure that you build skills, that you build your own measurement muscle. That is what the Academy is there for. So with that, it's officially that time. It's our job to ask you to join the Measurement Marketing Academy. And of course, to do that, all you need to do is go to measure.tips/getacademy. This will take you to the most current offers that are available for you. Again, measure.tips/getacademy. And we look forward to you becoming a part of the Measurement Marketing Academy soon. All right. With that, we'll officially wrap this one up. It's been Getting Started. What is Google BigQuery? And do you need it now? Thanks again for watching this workshop. We'll see you on the next one. Take care.